And now live from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C., it is the Sunday Evening Masterclass. Now, our chief instructor, best-selling author, and lecturer, the Reverend Dr. Charlette Manning.
My beautiful people. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Sunday Evening Masterclass with Dr. Charlette. And I'm so very happy to have you join us tonight. I'm so excited about my guest tonight, and that is Reverend Gordon and his wife, Novella Keyler. And Gordon and I have a history together. And, you know, I'm always on here telling my journey has been such an incredible journey. And I've had some of the most amazing friends they started out being actually people that I had approached about coming to speak in their churches. And Gordon and I met when he was a spiritual teacher, a spiritual leader at the Unity Church in Edgewood, New Mexico. And he has such an amazing story on how he has evolved as a pastor and now an ordained Unity minister, how his journey took him to Joplin, Missouri, where he met his now wonderful, beautiful wife, who is going to share the journey. You know, it's so interesting how if you are open and receptive about doing the things that God leads and guides and directs you to do, God will show up in some of the most amazing ways and show you the miracles that await you if you are just willing to take that jump, if you're just willing to take a chance and know that God's always got your back and that there is something grander and greater for your experience. So Gordon and Novella are going to come on with us a little bit later, and they're going to share with us their story. And Gordon is going to share a little bit of our story and how this and how we found our way back. Because like with Michael, I've known Gordon for over 15 years. And these guys, Michael was my first. I tell everybody, Michael was my first. And so, but Michael gave me the courage to really reach out and to explore other possibilities. And I remember I just wrote this email and I said, hi, my name is Reverend Charlette. I'm at Unity, Renaissance Unity in Detroit. And I just kind of did a brief paragraph or two. And I just sent this email out to all the Unity and Religious Science churches across the country. 90% of them said no, but 10% of them. And you know what? That's all you need. All you need is someone who is willing to take a chance to open up the avenue of the avenue of experience. And you are, what's the word I want to say? You have such a grand appreciation for how beautiful this country is when you get to see and share from a spiritual point of view a lot of what this world and this country has to offer. So when I met Gordon, it was the first time I had ever been to New Mexico, and I had a friend of mine who lived in Santa Fe. And I flew into Albuquerque and I went to visit her, and she took me to Edgewood. We went to church there. I did a workshop there, and Gordon and I, he was Robert then, Gordon and I became fast friends. Not just Gordon, but his sister CJ and his brother-in-law Wayne and their children. And I mean, I basically watched his daughter Lydia and Wayne and CJ's children. I literally watched these kids grow up. So we have a long history of stuff, of a life together. And I'm so excited because Gordon and Novella came to each other at such an intricate time. Novella is also a dream mastery coach through the Mary Man and Morrissey program, which I have been involved with for many, many years. And I mean, it's a full circle. And this is why I tell people, I said, you just don't know. God has the most incredible sense of humor, because you will have opportunities that surface in your life where you will actually be able to say, there ain't nothing but God. My girlfriend Cynthia tells me that all the time. Ain't nothing but God. There ain't nothing but God. And you just got to laugh, because there's no way in your mind, in your brain, that you could conjure this up yourself. This is right mind thinking, divine mind thinking. So I wanted to share a little bit. Most of you probably know it has been one of those weekends in the nation's capital. We had the Right to Life rally day before yesterday in the on the National Mall in Washington. And today they had the anti-vaccinate or the anti-vaxxers downtown. You know, one of the most incredible things about Washington is there's always some kind of protest or something going on. And I was sharing with Michael as we were preparing to come on the air, when you see such a diverse group of people, you know, and how you get into these conversations with people, because we all know that there's only one power and one presence in the universe. And regardless of whether you call it God or Buddha or Krishna or Yahweh or Jehovah or all the other many Allah, or all the many other names that you may have for it, there's only one power and one presence. So it doesn't matter what you call it, but that power and that presence is not Catholic, it's not Baptist, it's not Muslim, it's not Lutheran or anything like that. That presence is something that is alive and well and manifesting itself within ourselves. So when we keep looking for this God out here, what I'm asking, if you would, for your consideration, close your eyes, give yourself an opportunity to just place your hand on your chest or on your heart and allow yourself to feel the presence of God within yourself, because God is not out there. I like for people to say that God is my income. That is what's inside of me. And I make manifest the outcome. And that's how God works in my life, through my life, and within my life, with my life. And everything that I do is with the intention of being able to share and expand that message for anybody that I meet. It doesn't matter. I tell people Jesus only had 12, and Jesus wasn't about, you know, having these massive temples and churches and all of these, you know, places with these 5,000, 10,000 members and all of that. Jesus was about being out and talking and sharing and expanding the good news, is what we call it, and how God would make manifest into our lives. Now, COVID has kind of shaken that up a little bit, and we've had to deal with some egoic kind of stuff. I think everybody has COVID fatigue. Michael and I have talked about, Michael, are you in there? Come in and say hello to everybody tonight. You know, I don't like for Michael to stay in the background for too long. How are you this evening, my friend?
You know, I get lonely.
I know you do. I know.
You know, gosh, it's spent half my life in the studio. So, you know, anyhow, yeah. Hey, you got some great guests tonight.
I know. And you also, this past week, you had the Holmes Institute had their conference in Palm Springs.
Right. It was the Centers for Spiritual Living, not Holmes Institute. But yeah, they had their conference. It was a really good one. Of course, New Thought Media was there. We
yes.
And
Reverend
we had a hospitality suite.
Yes, yes. And Reverend Robert, who is our general manager of New Thought Media Network, he had live broadcasts there. I didn't let Michael go. He was a little upset with that, but I thought that it was too much flying for Michael. I just didn't think he should run the risk. So he had too much work to do back here.
She
And
told me to stay home, and
That's
there
right. I said
wasn't that wording.
I did. I did. I take full responsibility for that because he had too much work that he needed to do on this end so that he could be the support system that they needed for, excuse me, for him to be on that end. Right.
No, they really had a wonderful weekend. I think that they talked a lot about inclusion and what that means, and it was the first time we've ever had two trans people on the stage at the same time. And
Oh,
so that was really, again, we're kind of, widening the inclusiveness. So, I mean, that's, I think that we're known for being inclusive,
yeah.
and that we have all kinds of interesting people who are holding pulpits. But it's just, we're all under that umbrella of CSL, and it's really nice, from what I understand, for all the ministers and everyone. My dean, congratulations to Reverend C.C. Coltrane, who's now Dr. C.C. Coltrane.
All right.
Yeah, she got a honorary doctorate. So, all right, I'm gonna leave. Anything
Yeah.
else?
We're going to, yeah. So who's coming up on your show Friday? Do you have your guest yet?
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay. Well, we have a bunch of stuff that's going on out in the New Thought Media atmosphere. So I'm going to ask people to, check our schedule. There's so much going on, New Thought Media Network. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll bring Robert and Gordon, excuse me, and Novella Keyler in to speak to you. And I am Dr. Charlette. This is Sunday Night Masterclass on New Thought Media.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome OM Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Heckerland Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajay, thank you for your very generous donation. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
One power invisible, and you see it everywhere and every day. One power in.
Hey, we're back. So I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. I'm very excited about my two guests that are going to be joining us, Reverend Gordon Keyler and his lovely wife, Novella. Hi, guys. How are you?
It's good to see you.
I haven't seen you in so long, Gordon. It's so
It has been a long, long time.
I know. And I see a few gray hairs there.
Oh, fuck you.
But I see that there's a beautiful addition there. The last time I saw, yes, right, Novella. Novella, I have to tell you, when I first met Gordon, I kept saying to him, this guy is so nice. He's so kind. He's so loving. Why does he not have a wife?
That's what I kept wondering too.
All right. And I kept saying to myself, this guy, whatever woman ever gets him is going to be, what a blessing he would be to your life. He's like a brother to me. And I think, like I said, we've known each other, well over 15 years.
Oh, closer to 20.
Yeah, because Lydia was, like you said, I think 7 years old when we first met. She was a baby, and now she's a mom. And CJ and Wayne's kids were, they were all in elementary school when we first met. Yeah. Look how time waits on nobody. You're looking good though, my brother.
Thank you. You too.
Yeah.
We age well.
Yes, indeed. Well, I wanted to share this story because it is so amazing when you are open and receptive to do the work that God would have you do. He will bring angels into your life. And I just want you to share the story of how you met this wonderful woman and made her your wife. Because when I heard he was getting married, I didn't believe it. I said,
a lot of people didn't.
He had to.
We were a couple on April 1st.
Not thinking about what day it was.
But he had to leave New Mexico in order to find his soulmate.
Yes.
And I think it's an amazing story. So let's start there. Let's tell this wonderful story of how you all got together.
I think the very first thing was that I had gone to this conference with a friend who I always go. It was a yearly event. She's pretty, she's personable, and everybody would flirt with her. They wouldn't flirt with me. And I came home. I was in a metaphysical study group. Actually, I think we were going through a Holmes book, and mentioned that this was an unusual thing. And one of the people there said later, I didn't even know she was interested. So she started masterminding for me. And I was already kind of in the process of, I was on a couple of dating sites, not really interested in anybody that I saw. I was getting rid of some things, but, those were kind of preparatory things. Then we go to what was going on with Gordon.
Well, meanwhile, back in New Mexico, I went on, part of my practice is more Native American tradition. And I had gone on a vision quest, a 5-day vision quest. And as sometimes happens in vision quests, you don't get a vision during the quest. But it started the energy shifting. And lo and behold, a few months later, I'm working at the Unity Church as the office administrator here in Albuquerque. And I started having these dreams at night where I'd wake up and I'd hear a voice, and all it would say was Joplin. And I sat there and I go, Janis Joplin, Scott Joplin, what's this Joplin stuff about? And who is this voice? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear voices.
Okay.
Anyway, so I was talking to the senior minister there, and he said, well, Joplin Unity is looking for a licensed Unity teacher who wants to go through the program and become an ordained minister while they're serving as their spiritual leader. Mm-hmm. There was nothing in me that wanted to leave New Mexico. I love New Mexico. Always have. It's my home. But I could not get it out of my head. And, I wrestled with it. And then the senior minister, Reverend Ross Campbell, came to me and said, you have to send your resume. It was like, or I'm going to fire you. He didn't say that, but he pushed me out of the nest.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went online, looked, and it said no longer accepting resumes. And I went, thank you, God. And he said, send it anyway. So I sent it anyway. And I didn't know until after they had hired me that they had already chosen somebody else to be their minister.
Wow.
And they were sitting together. They were going to call the person they had chosen as a board and let them know that they had decided to hire them. One person, thank you, Jimmy, was running late. Always.
Mm-hmm.
And they were waiting for him. And while they were waiting for him, they were opening the mail. And my resume was in there. And Marilyn.
Mm-hmm.
Marilyn looked at it and she said, wait a minute, we got to call this guy.
Wow.
And we did. And I went out and interviewed. And then they said, can you start today? And I went, oh, rats, I have to leave New Mexico. So I moved out there. I became their spiritual leader, entered the ministerial program. The house I rented when I got out there was, I rented it sight unseen. And as so often happens, it was not the way they described it. But I stuck it out for a few months. And Novella and I had met at a friend's house.
Well, yeah. So back at the ranch, when I found out that he had been hired, I understand I had friends that were part of Unity, but I was never part of Unity. And so when they said, that they had hired him, and I'm at my friend's house, there's about 4 of us around. I said, I'm the only one that could date him because you're all parishioners. And so, and I was just joking. I mean, I had no idea whether
code of ethics.
Yeah, I had no idea whether I would even like him. But it's like, is he single? And, well, then I could date him, but you guys can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
Wow.
So even my being at the friend's house was kind of in divine order because I was working at a behavioral health unit. Most Saturdays or Sundays, I was trading off with somebody else, and she broke her shoulder when she was on a trip. And so now suddenly I was taking all of my shifts plus her shifts. I was going to be working about 60 hours a week.
Wow.
So I asked this friend who was the president of the board if I will pay for the food, if I can just come here for dinners during this time when I'm going to be working so many hours. So that's what happened. And first week that he was there, of course, she invites him for dinner, and I come in after work, and they're talking about ghost hunting.
Wait till you hear this.
Yeah, the friend's daughter was very interested in ghosts, and actually we had taken her over to this place in the next town over that at one point had been used as a bordello. And I had been there before and had an experience. And so I come in and they're talking about ghost hunting. And my first words out of my mouth were, we should go to the bordello.
That was the first words I ever heard her say.
And you're like, okay.
I couldn't. Now, me, I'm thinking in my head, I'm thinking that would be cool. But what I said was, because I just wanted to see her reaction, was, hi, I'm a minister.
Yeah, I'm a minister, right? Yeah. And you know how you can be different in a group than you are one-on-one. Mm-hmm. And, those group dynamics can have a huge effect. And so we're still, meeting regularly with our friends, but we're not really hitting it off that much. And then I had a house that I had been renting to other people, a house that I'd grown up in. And I told them, well, they just gave notice. Does anybody know anybody that might want to rent this house? And he said, I might be interested.
Yep.
Yeah. And so you went.
I went. She told me where it was.
Mm-hmm. And
I went to look at it. And I pull up in front of it and I look over at the house and it was bright pink.
Yeah. Now, the thing is, when I was a kid, it really was bright pink. It was like a Victorian pink. Mm-hmm. So when my mother died and I got the house, I actually painted it Santa Fe Trails.
It was pink.
And we continue to argue about this. Don't have as many cones in their eyes, so he didn't get the distinction. So anyway, it had been a lot brighter pink. He swears that there are times when the sun would hit it.
It was
and
pink.
it would look pink. Most of the time, it looked more Santa Fe Trail.
So I looked at it and I go, no, I don't want to live in a pink house. It was a great house, and it was in a fantastic neighborhood. And it was exactly what I was looking for. And so I prayed about it and meditated on it. And it came to me, get over it, So I went and looked at it and went inside and looked at it and said, yes, okay, I will rent it.
Yeah.
And
I, at that point, I had a management company that was handling it. And within a month, I would say, they went in and they, did all kinds of fix-up kinds of things, right? Mm-hmm. And I call them on the phone. I'm going, did they really do this? Yeah. Did they spend an hour and a half doing it? No, maybe about 20 minutes. And over the next month or so, that we decided that he could do anything that they were doing, and I would just reduce his rent, and then I wouldn't have to pay the management company, and we would both win. Well, now we're in a situation where we're working on things together and really getting to know each other. So
I did tell her I would be willing to paint the house any color but pink.
Any color but pink.
Right.
Yes, which he actually eventually did.
Bright blue.
Yes. Yes.
From pink to blue. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, so we got to know each other, and I think that we've never really decided when our first date was. But one of the first things we did is there's an azalea festival in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Uh-huh. And she said, let's go down to Muskogee. It's a couple hours away, and spend the day and get some azaleas for the yard. Yeah. And that was our first road trip together.
That was the first road trip. Although I don't think either of us saw it as a date.
Right.
Yeah. We keep moving it back, though. I think one possibility was when we both went to jail together. I had been working.
Are you guys writing a book?
We're working on it. Yes.
This is indeed a book for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah.
We weren't really thrown in jail. No. It was a museum.
Yeah.
And they had the old jail there. Yeah. So.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. Well, so one thing led to another, and we at some point Novella said, "So are we a couple?" And I guess we are.
He actually on our Valentine's Day card, he said, "Love Gordon," and I said, "Okay, so at least I commend your bravery for being the first to say it." I'm not sure that he thought about it like that, but it did then. Actually, one of the first things was he was complaining about his eyes. He had some been in a wreck, and it had done something. I said, "Well, if you married me, then you would have insurance." And what was your reaction?
I don't know that. Yeah, and that was kind of my reaction. Married. Never thought about getting married before. Yeah. But when you listen to Spirit, and even if Spirit's telling you to do something crazy like leave your home and move 900 miles away to become a minister, I had no idea that probably the real reason, although I am so grateful I got to be the minister there and everything, but the real reason was to find Novella.
Yeah. That's right. That's right. And I tell people all the time, I said, if you would simply give yourself the opportunity to pause and not to just, like you said, pray on it or meditate on it. And sometimes we need to get out of our own way of trying to figure things out and just let the universe unfold for you rather than trying to determine should it be this way or that way. Be open. I want this and this and this. And I think there's so much we are looking for the wrong kind of love. We're looking for romance rather than partnership. And I think so often, and I use that word because I think that the longevity of relationship, when you get into the the taking road trips and things like when you don't identify as a couple rather than identifying as two energy sources coming together that complement one another, then you have a whole different perspective. And I had somebody ask me, would you ever think about getting married again? And I said, no, that's
It
not
was
for
not
me.
in my plans.
Not it, but what I'm saying is if that is what God has ordained for me, that person, just like Novella came to you in this way, then the same thing will happen to me. Am I opposed to getting? No, I'm not opposed to it, but I'm not out here seeking, looking around, trying to figure out how. But I have to tell you, so many times I thought to myself, this guy is just too good to be true, because you have always, and when we first met again, did you ever go to college to be a teacher? You didn't.
No.
But he was a minister or a spiritual leader at Unity Church in Edgewood. He also taught disabled children or learning disabilities. And
Right.
it blew my mind at the Unity Church in Albuquerque.
No,
So
the school was
yeah,
not
right.
at the church. It was separate from the church.
But wasn't it in the building or somewhere across the street from it or something?
No.
You did YOU though.
Yeah, I taught the youth group.
That's
too.
what did we do at the Unity Church in Albuquerque? Was that a YOU retreat we did
That was
there?
a YOU rally, yes. And
Okay.
it was a rally that was for YOUers and adults. It was intergenerational, which is
That's what it
unusual.
was. That's what it was. Yeah. But I mean, people come into you. The Bible says people come into your life for a season, a day, a season, or a lifetime. And some people may come in there to occupy much of your space, but very much like Michael, you are that person that no matter where you called or when you came or whatever it was you needed, I would be on it, because you were so good to me in the very early stages of my spiritual expansion, and learning how to navigate through this world. Because I never wanted a church either, Novella.
Yeah.
I said, I want to do like Jesus. I want to come in, feed the sheep, and get the heck out of Dodge.
Right.
But I saw some of the most beautiful landscaping. He took me to Madrid, which I called Madrid at the time. And he's like, no. This is Madrid. He gave me the first green chili peppers or chili that I had. I mean, I experienced the hot air balloons was absolutely the greatest. But I want to talk about what time we got we got a few minutes. I wanted to talk about what you and Novella are doing at the Unity Church in Albuquerque on what you call a Homo agapian method. So can you explain a little bit about that to our audience?
Sure. Homo agapian is a term that I probably heard somewhere. I don't remember where, but I've made it a term that I use. It refers to a shift that is happening in the species of Homo sapiens. I do believe that the species that we are, Homo sapiens, has taken us from the cave to the moon. We are all about technology. We are about science. We are about learning how things work. What?
Left brain.
Left brain. Thank you. We are very left brain. We are very brainy, period. Mm-hmm. And in that several 100,000 year of evolution, we have accomplished so much, but it has been from the head. Very little of it has been from the heart. And we're seeing the results of that with climate change, with all of the challenges we are having, without thinking about how we are impacting the rest of creation. But what I've noticed with our youngest kids, my grandson's age, 12 years old, that generation that's coming up, I've noticed that in a large segment, there's a difference. I watch these kids. I go to pick my grandson up at school. I watch them outside. I watch how they interact with each other, even during COVID, and how from the time they can walk, they have a different consciousness of their connection to the rest of creation. And what I'm realizing, and the Heart Math Institute, by the way, is doing research that is bearing a lot of this out. And there's other research being done around the world too, is that they're coming more from the heart. And we know science has proven now that the heart has intelligence. It actually has a brain. And so I have coined this term for this new species of hominid that is appearing on the earth that I call Homo agapian, because they come from that unconditional space that is not just love for other humans, but love for all of creation and respect for all of creation. And there's DNA changes that are happening. There's so much going on that I truly believe that the species of Homo sapien has accomplished what it evolved to accomplish, and is now birthing the next evolution of hominid. We've had Australopithecus, it's hard to say. We've had Neanderthal. We've had all these species of hominids, and each one has evolved to the next level of expression. And I believe that a lot of what we're seeing happen in the world right now is that shift happening. And as you know, when something makes way for a greater thing, there's a lot of chaos in between.
Yes.
And I think that's a lot of what we are seeing in the world today. There's
oh
my gosh, we're dying out, but something greater is being birthed.
I totally agree. And, I, as a mother, I know giving birth is probably as close to dying as a woman can get. And giving birth is painful. It's bloody. It's messy. It's all of that. And I don't agree with most women that say this, but they say once the baby comes, you forget about all that pain. That ain't true. But the beauty of this new consciousness is it distracts you from what you had to go through to get to where you are. And I don't think I could maintain my sanity if I did not believe what you're talking about now. If I did not believe that there's a new consciousness, these young people come out of the womb with technology. They know how to navigate through all of this little kids, babies that can pick up these cell phones and program them and do all of these other things. They have a genetic disposition that is it's just out there. You know what I mean? But there's a gentleness also about them. And I don't think that this parent consciousness really knows how to handle these Homo agapians. I could so relate to. And so do you have a program that you are implementing for your young people, or in concert with your congregation and your young people?
We're in the very early stages of developing a formal program. One of the challenges we are having in institutions, which a church is with COVID. Families are keeping their kids at home because up until very recently, there hasn't been the vaccine for children or anything like that. And we understand that. So right now, we don't have a lot of kids coming on Sunday to our programs, but we are working to have in place when this ends, and it will end. I think we're seeing a shift happening with the Omicron and all of that. We are going to have programs ready for these new species. And
I see that it's not just the kids that are changing. I see a shift in the consciousness of adults.
I do too.
And so I gave a couple of speech a few weeks ago and one a couple of months before that about that idea of partnership versus dominator. And the partnership has been very left brain. You have to do it this way, kind of a way of looking at the world. But we're becoming much more partnership. And that's something that we can nurture in each other. I was encouraging people to actually think in terms of, is this whatever I'm hearing coming from that dominator, top-down, authoritarian view of the world, or is there some way that we can instill a partnership view? Because part of partnership is it's working for all of us.
Right.
You know, it is that compassion for all of us, and not just humans, but animals and the very planet. You know, and so that's I have a master's in psychology and a master's in social work, and kind of really grounded in the sociology and the psychology of it. And so that's how I'm looking at this shift. Myself is that we have a changing consciousness. It's not just in the kids. They may come out of the womb with it being much more making sense to them, but we can all make those shifts.
Totally. And you know what? I worked for Marianne Williamson for 7 years, and I remember in 1999, as we were preparing for Y2K, and everybody was worried about whether the computers were going to max out or if everything was going to go to hell in the handbasket as soon as the year 2000 happened. And I never forget, Marianne had a conversation. She said the year 2000 is going to enter into the consciousness. The number 2 represents the divine feminine. So we're coming into this new consciousness. And she said, but if you think the year 2000 is going to be something, she said, you wait to 2022.
Yes.
Okay.
We are now in the age of Aquarius, which is a feminine energy. We are now in the century of the divine feminine, and we are now giving birth to this new Homo agapian that you're talking about. Yeah. So when I read that just went ding, 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 ding. So I hope that, and I think this is where I really believe COVID is a blessing. I think that COVID is giving us a time, this shutdown, and preparation for this new consciousness that we're talking about. Yeah. And I think that there are, I have friends that are teachers and meditators, and there are more people in the New Thought Media Network, literally, not just this station we call New Thought Media, but in this sphere we call that New Thought or New Consciousness media, that we are communicating with each other, network, connecting to each other. And we're going to take a quick break. Michael is bing, 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 bing on me. To take a quick break, and we're going to come back before we wrap up. And Novella is going to talk to us about the dream building workshop or dream building coaching program that she's a part of, because I think that all of these things are going to be I'm writing a book now on my Forgive series, and I'm doing Organize Your Thinking. And organizing your thinking is about building a spiritual toolkit that will support this new consciousness, because as we are eliminating the negativity that has bombarded us for these last 4 years, plus some. But as we are getting rid of that, we need to be able to prepare the vessel for this heart, like you're talking about. So totally agree that this is the mind of God here, not here. This is the receiver of thought. This is the creator of thought. So I'm so excited about that. So we're going to take a real quick break. This is Sunday Evening Masterclass with Dr. Charlette here on the New Thought Media Network.
New Thought Media Network is on the rise. We're looking to grow with you. Do you have technical media experience, or perhaps a desire to learn? Are you willing to volunteer your precious time and attention? We share this message to benefit all. If you possess a computer with a camera and a microphone, we will share our knowledge with you. Behind the scenes or being the star, let us bless our one. contact us at info@ntmedia.org.
Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, for your continued support. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown Atlanta, for your monthly contribution. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, for your monthly contribution. And please help us welcome Om Center for Spiritual Living in La Mesa, California. Thank you for your monthly donation. Thank you, Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, for your most generous donation. And a special thanks to Heckerlin Foundation for your generous technology grant. And Suze Ajit, thank you for your very generous donation. And a big shout out to all our committed donors.
And we are back with Reverend Gordon and Mrs. Novella Keyler. And we are so happy to have you guys. We hope that our audience has enjoyed. You know, one of the things that really sold me on joining this network, and I want to thank Pastor Michael Mangus all the time for introducing me to this, because this is the one place where you can come and be spiritually fed, not with a bunch of religious dogma, but that you can be spiritually fed and answer the calling of your heart. So, you know, I've always been a big fan of coaching. I don't ever think that we can know too little or too much about how to grow mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. You know, Jesus wasn't broke. People don't understand that. You know, Jesus had an advanced team. Everybody that went into the town ahead of Jesus to make sure there was a place to stay, food to eat, and all of this. And in order to be about our Father's business, we need to have a mindset of mental, physical, emotional, spiritual, and financial abundant consciousness. And so, Novella, I know that Mary Morrissey, I have known, you know, and I'm sure you probably know this, but there were 4 people that Jack Boland mentored when he was, and he is the king of unity. He started, I mean, he was the first mega unity minister, and he coached Wayne Dyer, Les Brown. Oh, who was the third one? Was it 3? Was it 4 or 3?
It was
3. Mary Morrissey was the third one. I know she was young. Okay, so it was 3. So Les Brown, Wayne Dyer, and Mary Morrissey. And I mean, Mary Morrissey is the corner of New Thought as far as I'm concerned. And I think one of the most beautiful programs that she's ever done, and I told you, before COVID, again, I spent a weekend with her every year in Crystal City at the Marriott Hotel in Crystal City. So I am so happy to have you explain a little bit. You're going to give a little tease tonight because you have agreed to come back next week, and we're going to do a deeper dive into the Dream Mastery program and how we can help you expand your coaching program and help those people that are ready to take their life lessons, their spiritual lessons to that next level.
Yeah. Well, everybody has a dream. Not everybody knows what their dream is, but everybody has something that if they were able to step away from the circumstances that tell them why they can't, that there is something that they would just love in their life. So the Dream Builder program is a 12-week course in which you're listening to audios from Mary Morrissey. You have homework, you're doing your own kind of inner work, And then once a week, you're dealing with your coach, where there's material there, but you're also, getting encouragement and accountability and those kinds of things, the actual interaction that makes the other stuff realer for you. That it's one thing to read a book, go to a weekend someplace. It can be great, but being able to actually change those habits, those paradigms, usually takes somebody working with you that they can see things that you can't see for yourself. And so that's the dream builder part of it. There are I am provisionally at this point in March, I will be fully certified as a life mastery consultant, life coach. So there will be some other courses that I'll be able to teach. But dream builder is really the foundation, and that's where you start figuring out what is your dream in 4 quadrants, and then dealing with those paradigms, and then figuring out, okay, so what do I need to do to get there? Because there's no magic wand. You know, you just think it and then it'll happen. You know, that's the first step, but it's not the last step.
Yeah.
So.
Well, one of the things that Jack Bolin coined when he was at the when he founded the Church of Today in Warren, Michigan, was the Mastermind program. And the Mastermind became that whole, it was the cornerstone of unity. Yeah. So, I've always been a firm believer that this is an individual journey, but it's not an alone one. Right. And we need support systems along the way to help us navigate through what it is, or to uncover really what it is that you want to do. Because I can't tell you how many people I have had over the course of my career come up and say, I want to do what you do. And my first question to them is, what do I do? And they say, you help people. Okay, well, what does that mean? Because on the surface, people think they know what they want, but are they willing to spend the time, energy, and money, time, talent, and treasure in order to do the things that God would have you do? Right. People just want to make the money. They don't want to utilize the tools and learn how to adapt the philosophy to be able to do that. And that's what I love so much about Mary's program.
One thing I love about Mary's program is that it's about coming from the dream instead of going to the dream. So you need to figure out who that person is that you will be once you have the dream, and then create that vibration. So when they come to you and they say, well, I want to do what you do, okay, well, then they need to get into the vibration of what you do. They need to be really clear as to what is it that they want to do that you are doing, and get into that vibration of it.
And people don't really get, they think that, just walked up and dropped in your lap one day, and they don't know how many, this is not easy work. And you got to really be committed to the long game, as I say in this, working for the Lord is not easy work. And you don't always you don't always get your just reward when I say that I'm doing everything that I believe God wants me to do, and the reward that I get from that is seeing a transition from one person thinking a certain way into them thinking. I don't try and get them to do what I say do, but to uncover what it is that they really need to and or want to do, because they're not real. They're on the surface. They haven't gone into the deep dive. And that's what I really want to do. And that's why I want to spend the hour with you next week, and where we can go into the deep dive. I think it was in my Forgive book, the first one. I think it's also in Facing Your Fears. I carry around this 5-step. Thumbs up, everything's going to be okay. Point in that direction that you want to, moving forward. And I love this one. Flick it, throw it away.
Yep.
Value those, engage in something that you want to do, become something that, and don't sweat the little things. And I talk about this all the time, and I said, you got your formula right there with you 24/7.
Yeah.
You can carry that around with you. So I'm hoping that next week when you join us, that we can do, maybe have some tips on how to do that. How about
In
that?
terms of paradigms or the dream building or the actions?
That's on you, babe.
Okay. Because there's all three of those steps, and there's different things you do at different stages.
Yeah. So, whatever you think we are ready for, I think that, there's a dose of a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and, whatever. However, I want to leave it open to you to be you're the expert in that arena. So I will leave it to your charge. And so you're going to be on with us next week. Then we're going to have our Valentine with Dr. Phil is going to come back on February 13th. And then Gordon is going to come back, and we're going to talk about that Native American influence on, how we get on the Unity Explorers. And we're going to talk about some of the principles that we can integrate that will get the body in alignment with some of those things. I hope you'll bring your flute and play a little for us too.
I might do that.
I'm looking at I'm looking at a dozen of them right in front of me.
Oh, listen, that was the one and he that was another thing. He loved those things. He had a collection of them when we first met. A flute is a flute is a flute to me. And he would had to break it down to me. And I said, I am a connoisseur of great music. I can't play nothing, but I have an ear for beautiful music. And I mean, you play beautifully. So hopefully you'll be able to talk a little bit more maybe about the vision questing.
Sure.
And some fluting. So you'll be with us on the 20th.
Yep.
Okay. And you'll be with us next Sunday. I'm really, really excited. Michael, can you pop in real quick before we go?
There he is.
I just want you to know that you can tune into, tap into, and turn on to Gordon or Novella if you want him on the Friday night fireside chat too.
Okay, that's wonderful.
All right. We do cross each other. Yeah.
We do cross pollinate. There we go. All right. I got to go back to work here.
Okay. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining.
Thank you, Charlette.
So much.
I'm so happy to do that. I look forward to expanding, growing, and doing a deeper dive on Sunday Night Masterclass with Dr. Charlette here at New Thought Media. Good night.
Bye. Good night.